Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5 a.m. Club. It's a very still morning. I'm here in the city on George Street, just waiting for the light rail to arrive. Don't know what the weather's like. I look up in the sky, I can't see any stars, but it all depends in which direction I look, I guess. But what I want to do today is take you through a book summary. A book summary which is an interesting one, because every now and then you come across a book which you find very interesting. And this one here is a mind blower, so to speak. And it's entitled Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming. So a strange book. The author is Stephen LeBerge, but it's all about, I guess, examining and looking a little bit deeper into how the mind works and how we dream. And the author makes a very valid and powerful point, where it's a dual authorship, where they suggest that, interestingly, the events you experience while asleep and dreaming produces effects on your body, to a lesser extent of course, but on your brain to a more significant extent, much the same as if you were experiencing the corresponding events while awake. So I guess we've all experienced some dreams which are very lucid, where you wake up and you feel as if you haven't been dreaming and it's been a reality. Some dreams where physically you feel as if you may have been working all night, or having sex all night, or doing whatever. But some dreams really stand out and are so lucid that you often scratch your head and say that you thought that it was a reality as opposed to a dream. But the authors here go on to say that with dreaming, you are capable of creating your own reality. And the difference between dreaming and being in a conscious state is that you have the power to control what happens in those dreams. So the authors are kind of suggesting that you can manipulate the power of dreaming to use it in other areas of your life to shape your reality, your mental health, and how you feel about yourself. And the authors talk about the importance of evoking conscious awareness while you're dreaming. So this is all pretty esoteric. It's all pretty out there. It's not the sort of standard book that you get to read, but the sort of things that come out of this book here are a little bit different. And I guess a lot of people would find it a little bit crazy. But I guess the importance of Jim's 5 a.m. Club, or the purpose of the 5 a.m. Club, is to explore and to engage the topics, a variety of topics, where we can at least sit and think about it and figure out whether or not we can use it, we can leverage it, and incorporate it in our daily lives. But this book here is also just triggered another sort of thought that I had. You read one thing and all of a sudden you think about something else. And you just sit and think that at the end of the day, whatever preoccupies your mind, whatever worries, whatever enjoyment, whatever good thoughts or bad thoughts preoccupy your mind, that's the sort of stuff that keeps on recurring in your mind. And as we know, the mind is a muscle. So the more you use it, the more the stronger it gets, or it shapes itself into those thoughts. So if you're preoccupied and thinking about things all the time which are negative, then through the neuroplasticity capability of your brain and your mind, you're basically reinforcing either positive things or negative things, depending on what you're focusing on. And as we know, that shapes the mind, and it builds and it bounces off each other. And you have a capability of both consciously and subconsciously in terms of changing and influencing and affecting your mind, your personality, your character by what you dwell on. So some people dwell on things because that's what they choose to do, but other people dwell on things because others foist it upon them and force it upon them. So be very, very careful, I guess, is one of the key messages that comes out of this book in terms of what you focus on, both consciously and subconsciously. The authors also go on to talk about the fact that if you, or by choosing to engage your mind during the day, you can enhance the chances to lucid dream. Lucid dream. Because all sensory information that you collect, both consciously and subconsciously, is used as the building blocks of your dreams. I must admit that I haven't had very, very many dreams that I can recall of late. Had a couple of nightmares over the past couple of months where I thought that I was dying, or just going through those sorts of scary sort of examples. But the author here reminds us that what is stored in our brains, in our minds, and remembering that things that are stored in our minds are all the sensory information that comes through our eyes, our ears, our skin. All of those things are stored in our mind, in our brain, at the subconscious level, but both subconscious and consciously. And all of those things end up becoming the fabric of our dreams, or the foundation of the things that we dream of when we're less conscious, so to speak. So the author then invites us to a call to action, and like everything, a lot of these modern psychologists and researchers and scientists talk about the importance of journaling. And the authors here talk about the importance of having a dream journal. A dream journal where, when you wake up, or even within the dream, if you happen to gain consciousness, to just reach over with your pen and paper and just jot down what you were dreaming, and then review it and spend a little bit more time looking at it when you wake up. Because interestingly enough, I've never heard of this before, but the authors remind us that by doing this, by having a dream journal or any type of journal, it gives your mind the signal that these experiences are okay, and you're basically also giving yourself and your both subconscious and conscious mind permission to explore and permission to continue doing what you're doing, rather than to let it just disappear and evaporate. The authors then go on to a few other things here, which once again are a little bit strange for conservative people, such as myself. I'll admit a lot of this sort of stuff is pretty out there for me. But as I said, one of the missions of Jim's 5am Club is not for me to voice my opinion, but to be an emissary and to leverage the material that is out there. And these authors here say that one thing that you can do, one exercise you can do throughout the day, is to simply ask yourself continually, am I dreaming? Am I dreaming? Am I dreaming? And what this does is it creates a reality check for us. But the reason why you do this reality check is that you turn it into a habit, so that when you are sleeping and when you are dreaming, it can help trigger a lucid dream while you're asleep. So stay with me. It's all pretty esoteric, as I said, but once again, there is some interesting element to this sort of stuff, because the authors also talk about the possibility of transitioning from awake to a dream state without losing your consciousness. So it's getting a little bit deeper, getting a little bit more tricky now in terms of what they're talking about, because the authors then are kind of inviting us to consider the ability of maintaining our consciousness while sleeping. And they talk about a concept called WILD, which is called wake-initiated lucid dreams, which can be achieved through hypnagogic imagery. So we're going on a real tangent now. Hypnagogic imagery. But I guess one of the proud things for me is that my Greek background enables me to understand what hypnagogic actually means. So the word hypnagogic actually means, let me go over here where I can get a light and see my notes, is the transition phase between being awake and being asleep. So I often wonder, a lot of those dreams, a lot of those nightmares that we have, to a certain extent, come to the surface for a particular reason. But a lot of that sort of stuff that happens below the surface when you're dreaming, when you're sleeping, is actually shaping our personality, shaping our character, reshaping the brain. So just to think that there are things happening below the surface that we're not aware of is in itself a fascinating sort of topic. And that's why it's important to try and manage the thinking that we do, manage our attitude, manage as many things as we can, so that when we're out of control, when we're sleeping, then at least those sorts of things are less of an issue. So the third formal point to come out of this book about lucid dreaming, and they talk about the practical effects of lucid dreaming, where you can start to incorporate it in your working life. And here's another thing that I wasn't quite aware of, but once again, you read books. There are people who are leaders in their field, and they have revelations, opinions, things that they've come across in their studies. But when it comes to dreaming, the authors here tell us that we have shadow parts of our personalities. And I guess that in itself is quite weird, but all of us have shadow parts to our personalities, which often show up in symbolic ways in our dreams. And one of the calls to action from the author here is, by having a dream journal and by paying a little bit more attention to your dreams, you're able to learn how to identify and leverage these symbols. And hopefully it can also help us with our creativity. Final point in this book is that we can do imagined practice, which is all the sort of stuff that we talk about in terms of visualization, because as we alluded to earlier, all of that sort of stuff helps shape the brain, shape the mind, and influence our personalities. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there for now. I just saw a bit of flashing on the horizon there behind the Opera House. I can see some very, very dark cloud out there on the eastern horizon. There's only a couple of stars that I can see up in the sky. The breeze is a gentle breeze. The breeze is coming, it looks like it's coming from the west. So if it's coming from the west, then it'll be pushing that cloud away from the coast, but that could turn around at some point in time. Not sure what the weather forecast is for today, but let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable, and let's take a couple of hacks, a couple of life hacks from this book, and understand that we dream for a number of reasons. We dream at night, we can also dream throughout the day, and what the authors are suggesting here is that we can leverage that dreaming aspect and also consider getting into a conscious dreaming state, which has a number of benefits. So I think I'll leave it there. So Yassas, have a great day. Make the most of this unique day, and let's be the wind beneath our wings, the wave beneath our boards, the zephyr that bellows and flutters our sails and our flags, and be the propeller that churns the waters and propels us in the direction that we want to head. Thank you very much. I wasn't aware that I was going live publicly with this vlog. It's the first time I've done it. I normally get a little bit uncomfortable with going live. What I normally do, just so you're aware, on Jim's 5am Club is I do go live, but I go live private, just to make sure that I don't say anything or do anything which I don't want to have out there in the ether. But one of the beauties of Facebook Live, whilst I've got you here, is that you can turn the camera whilst you're videoing, whereas if you're just doing video from your phone, you can't switch the camera from front to back. So that's the reason why I use Facebook Live, is that I do have control over the camera direction. And also the other benefit is that you're recording, and once you hit finish, it is uploaded immediately, so you don't need to spend half an hour to upload it. And I guess that's it. So thank you very much for joining me on this really, really weird, really, really strange book summary. But as we say, there are thousands of books out there, and I'm going to be honest with you, every single book that I read, every single book summary that I come across, I do learn something new. I do reinforce the things that I've learned in the past, and it helps me join the dots. And as we know, learning is a process of attaching. Did you see the flash out there on the horizon? Learning is a process of attaching the unknown to the known. So the more you learn, the more you know, the more you're capable of learning, because you're building, you're expanding your neurons and the connections, because in our brains, things are firing off at different parts of our brains at the same time, and it's creating this experience, this learning experience that we're currently enjoying. Anyway, take care. G'day George and Billy, I can see you both here online. Thank you very much for joining me, and take care. Have a great, what is it today? A great Wednesday, a great hump day, and wishing you guys all the best, and we'll chat again. Hopefully we'll catch up for a beer soon. Yassas, Filaka from Jim's 5am Club, and bye for now.